Tonight, something begins in the sky that most people will never notice. They will go to bed the same way they always do. Scroll through their phones, turn off the lights, close their eyes, and somewhere above them, quietly, without ceremony, a line will form between two ancient forces that have been moving toward each other for months: Mars and the North Node. A meeting that does not happen often. A moment astrologers have watched for centuries. Because when Mars, the planet of action, courage, and raw fire, touches the North Node, the point of destiny, the invisible arrow pointing toward your future, something unusual happens. The path forward becomes impossible to ignore, and in the next few days, something inside you may begin to move. An urge you can't quite explain, a decision that suddenly feels unavoidable, a realization that the life you have been living is no longer the life you are meant to continue. This is the Mars North Node alignment of March 12, and in the next few minutes, you will discover 3 things most people will never understand about this moment. First, what is actually happening in the sky right now, and why this alignment has been building for months. Second, why many people are already feeling strange, emotional, and physical signals before the event even arrives. And third, the quiet but powerful choice you may soon be asked to make. A choice that could redirect the next chapter of your life. Because when Mars touches the North Node, destiny stops whispering and starts knocking, slowly, firmly, and sometimes loudly enough that you can no longer pretend you didn't hear it. Far above the noise of the world, Mars is moving through the final degrees of its current position, a red point of light that ancient sky watchers called the Wandering Flame. On March 12, Mars aligns precisely with the North Node. Not a planet, not a star, but a mathematical point in space where the orbit of the moon intersects the path of the Sunday. To ancient astronomers, the nodes were not abstract calculations. They were gateways, crossroads, places where the future enters the present. And when a powerful planet touches that gateway, something shifts. Mars arrives at this point like a spark landing on dry ground. Mars is not patient. Mars does not reflect. Mars acts. It is the force that pushes you forward when logic says to stay where you are. It is the courage that appears when hesitation has lasted too long. The warrior, the initiator, the beginning of movement. And when that force touches the North Node, the symbolic direction of the soul's evolution, the result is rarely subtle. Some alignments whisper. This one tends to knock things loose. Plans that suddenly collapse. Opportunities that appear out of nowhere. Conversations that reveal truths you didn't expect to hear. Because the North Node is not about comfort. It is about growth. And growth often requires movement. What makes this moment especially powerful is the timing. Mars only meets the North Node every couple of years. But this alignment occurs during a period when the sky itself seems unusually active. Several planetary cycles are shifting at once. Saturn is nearing the end of a long chapter in Pisces. Jupiter continues expanding emotional landscapes in Cancer. And Neptune quietly prepares to cross a threshold that astrologers have been anticipating for decades. But Mars arriving at the North Node acts like a trigger, a spark that activates the larger machinery already turning behind the scenes. In astrology, moments like this are sometimes described as ignition points. The larger cycles are the fuel, but something must strike the match. Mars is the match. To understand why ancient cultures took moments like this seriously, we have to step back thousands of years, long before telescopes, before satellites, before anyone understood planets as physical worlds orbiting a star. The night sky was the oldest map humanity possessed. Babylonian astronomers recorded the movement of Mars with astonishing precision more than 2,500 years ago. They noticed something curious. Whenever Mars approached certain points in the sky, especially the lunar nodes, major changes often followed in the lives of kings, cities, and entire civilizations. To them, Mars was not simply a planet. It was a signal, a celestial messenger announcing that something in the world of humans was about to accelerate. The Mayans tracked Mars cycles with similar fascination. Their codices show complex tables predicting the exact moments Mars would appear in key alignments. They believed these moments opened portals of action, times when fate moved faster. Greek astrologers later described Mars node alignments as crossroads of will, moments when the individual's decisions intersect with the larger path of destiny. Not predetermined, but amplified. The choice becomes louder, clearer, harder to avoid. And that brings us to now. Because if you are watching this video, there is a good chance you have already felt something shifting. Perhaps not dramatically, but subtly, like a quiet tension building beneath ordinary life. Maybe your sleep has been strange lately. You wake up in the early hours of the morning for no obvious reason. Your mind moving through thoughts that feel deeper than usual. Or perhaps your dreams have become unusually vivid. Scenes that feel symbolic. Conversations that linger in your memory long after you wake. Others have described a strange restlessness, a feeling that something is ending. Even if they can't clearly define what that something is, the routines that once felt stable now feel slightly uncomfortable. Not painful, just outdated. Like wearing clothes that used to fit perfectly but now feel tight across the shoulders. And then there are the people. Old names appearing unexpectedly. Messages from someone you haven't heard from in years. Or perhaps the opposite. A quiet distance forming between you and someone who used to feel close. These small shifts often occur before Mars touches the node. Because the alignment does not begin the moment of contact. It builds, like pressure rising beneath the surface before an earthquake. Mars moves closer. The tension increases, and sensitive individuals often feel it days before the exact alignment arrives. To understand why this alignment feels so personal, we have to look at the characters involved. Each planet carries a symbolic voice, a role in the larger cosmic conversation. Mars speaks the language of action. If you imagine the human spirit as a story, Mars is the moment the hero finally leaves home. It governs courage, drive, anger when something is unjust, passion when something matters. Mars is what makes the difference between thinking about change and actually making it happen. The North Node speaks differently. It represents direction, not where you came from, but where your life is asking you to go. In astrology, it is often described as the future calling, the unfamiliar path that slowly becomes unavoidable. It rarely feels comfortable at first, because the North Node points toward growth, and growth means leaving familiar ground. So when Mars meets the North Node, the message becomes very simple. Movement toward the future. The moment when thought becomes action, when intention becomes decision, and sometimes when hesitation finally runs out of time. This is why the Mars-North Node alignment often coincides with turning points. People start new careers, end relationships that quietly expired months earlier, move to cities they once only dreamed about, speak truths they had been avoiding, or choose paths that once seemed too risky, not because Mars forces anyone to act, but because it removes the fog. The voice inside becomes louder than the fear around it, and suddenly the question is no longer, should I change? The question becomes, How much longer can I stay the same? You may have already felt glimpses of this question. Perhaps there is something you have been avoiding, a conversation that needs to happen, a project that has been waiting quietly in the background of your mind, a truth you know but haven't spoken out loud. Mars does not like unfinished business. When it touches the North Node, it shines a light on the exact place where movement has been delayed, not to punish, but to liberate. Because sometimes, the only thing standing between you and the next chapter of your life is the moment you decide to begin. If you want to work consciously with this alignment, there is a simple practice you can try. It requires nothing complicated, no elaborate rituals, just a quiet moment. On the night of March 12, step outside if you can. Look up at the sky, even if clouds cover the stars, even if you can't see Mars, because the act itself is symbolic. Human beings have stood beneath this sky for thousands of years asking the same questions. Where am I going? What am I meant to become? Take a slow breath, then ask yourself one simple sentence. What action have I been postponing that my future already knows the answer to? Do not rush the response. Do not force it. Let the question settle. Often the answer appears immediately. A word, a name, an image. When it does, write it down. Just one sentence. Fold the paper and keep it somewhere you will see it in the morning. Mars energy responds to clarity. A written intention acts like a signal, a way of telling the universe and yourself that you are ready to move. Because the larger perspective is this. Moments like the Mars North Node alignment remind us that we are not separate from the sky. The same cosmos that guided ancient navigators and inspired early astronomers still moves above us. Civilizations rose and fell beneath these stars. Empires changed course while Mars burned red in the night. Yet every generation has stood here, asking the same timeless questions. What is my path? What is my purpose? And when will I finally step onto it? This alignment does not force answers, but it does illuminate the doorway, a brief window where the future becomes easier to see. The choice remains yours. It always has been. The sky offers signals, but human beings decide what to do with them. So as March 12 approaches, consider this question carefully. What part of your life has been waiting for courage? What truth has been asking to be spoken? What path has been quietly appearing again and again, hoping you will finally follow it? Because Mars is approaching the North Node now, and when these two meet, the universe tends to ask a very simple question. Are you ready to move forward? Or will you wait for another cycle to bring the same lesson back again? If something in this video resonated with you, if you have felt the strange pull of this moment, share your experience in the comments below. Sometimes the words of a stranger become the exact confirmation someone else needed to hear tonight. And if you want to continue exploring these cosmic events together, subscribe and stay connected. The sky is always moving, and sometimes it speaks more clearly than we expect.